session together. Let's envision a global cataclysm. Inside this bunker, which is equipped with generator and fuel supply to keep it running now.
Only built for 10.
Which means you have to decide who's valuable enough to expend limited resources.
Following a passionate night, Petra and James early in the morning with Petra, who quickly depart for ongoing classes, James decides to spend a little more time in bed. Over a longer time, sadly, that causes itself to emerge slowly before arriving. Delayed in his philosophy class. Mr. Zoot plans to not use the allowing entry but concluding by opening the "It was the last day of school," and Zimit will gauge their mental state, pupils with reflective exercises. Il demande à them to share their favorite and it runs, Chips talks about theorem of the infinite series that claims a person using a writing machine, and the eternal may write a novel, and Georgina brings out the dilemma of the gratifying ignorance in him. An individual is suspended indefinitely. Higher than usual, city trip, to see if his friends helped him, but only his friends on the verge of falling, and they're afraid. It moves from the person who is injured to the butt. Now she demands, she tumbles. If you want to know the truth about where his friends are living in ignorance for the most recent Zimit exercise, suggests a scenario where they must assume that a nuclear holocaust is coming, and imagine a bunker with insufficient supplies. Supplies for people at once. The class of must choose who will enter. Who would be left after Georgina and you? Petra declines to play the game, but Imitate threatens to lower the notes of James. If Petra by herself has no other person, choice to stay. Zimmy distributes each student received a set of fate cards, carrying a different occupation. Some have a probability of others being convicted. Toby pulls the poet's card, and confidently declare his accomplishments. Literature but imitates the cutting of poetry is pointless in today's world, post-apocalyptic, as it turns out. He also participates in the game, but Cart is a mystery that may be. Any statement, whether it is a blessing or not, the students must use foul language, decide which among them deserves to enter. In the bunker. Of the humane refugees, one vote is cast, selecting those who have demonstrated skills that may help them survive and helping the rejected. Their hopes are being sent out into the distance. The last place game is between Zimithi and Utami. The singer Zimithi wins money, justness, and they have minutes to themselves, saying their final farewell, but instead they heard the sound of death and the sound of balls dislodged the chair and the ottomans, killed everyone who was left behind, denying that it was anything in the background, more compassionate toward the survivors, are horrified, and Petra scolds James, which they are unable to tolerate imitation. Entering the bunker is a monster. She said, James raises his head and finds a strategy, it is stated to everyone, of collecting plants before entering the bunker claims they'll need it. Later, when they are engaged, with their work, they make visits, secrecy to each of them and their partners. Explains his strategy for crossing the line, lowering their seat on the metal tombstone sort of one click and leave a lone individual behind. There is a mystery that exists in the desert. May either save them or send them to. They discover their novel within, still be a parody of fake people's lives. Plants with fake leaves and fake lights commodities. James and Petra locate some on the comfort in each other's arms, one over the other. This broken promise of survival. Yet, as James looks into Petra's eyes, turning to the window or the face, Zimmy pours slowly. He holds an pancarte, indicating that it holds the key. She calls the others after their departure, and there is debate on the methodologies. The test is flawed, so he decides to ignore it and wait until the conclusion of, although the year is lengthy and dreary, and it feels like there are caged animals there. Every day, Petra checks for counterfeits, hoping a sign, but all she sees is that. Unruly dogs devoured his corpse. When the year is finally over, he or she, precipitation toward the entrance of a patient inspired once more by the crisp air, yet the door is locked, and the card of Zimit stated that it was true. They were attempting to reduce the gap between pirate and swordplay, but nothing works since there is a lack of food, water, and hope. He decides to putting an end to their misery with dignity and classy Zimmy that reveals their true colors. Identity. He was a builder of underground, and he had built his own jail. The only person who knew the code that could the release. The students want another chance, and they decided on a new placement of Mount Bromo. At that time, La hand toward a pistol, Petra. Observe that she is realistic, whereas the cards have a hidden feature that might all change. They must decide who will live and die. James is frustrated because he is closed, even though the gay Georgina is rejected, because she has the unsure whether she can cure all the ailments I have. World Plume is spared since she carries an even if it is worthless chips. A gold purse is welcomed as he may influence the wood, even if it cannot ignite. Petra was scared of the kids because she might construction and coiled even if she hasn't. Poppy is no longer loved by anyone, since she cannot become pregnant even if she tries. Can calm people's minds. Jack is being held. He won the genetic lottery, even if it has nothing more to offer. Nelson is accepted since Petra said they would. They require more boys, and Hosder said that they required more. A lot of middle-class workers were the victims. Long for their lives, killing the metal tombstones eventually rust and collapse. Neither their life beyond death, nor this Petra wakes up by herself that night and leaves. James is located by the searcher in the books. Jack's bras, who isn't what he claims to be. It seems like she had a blow to the head. For others, it is short and poignant to say. They convene to discuss how they will create a new life. Given that he is not fertile, Jack and James declines since they are not in love. Petra consents to being slept on by women. With Zimit to oppose James Kilame before the world outside, 3 pairs of shoes catch fire. Rapprochons. But after weeks, nobody is expecting. Zimit suggests that they trade partners and that the women had more than one man. Bonnie said that they weren't going too far with their logic and that she has the right to refusing to leave and returning with all but Bonnie are ordered to use pistols. It was exhausting to leave the play, yet Jack hides behind a coin while Jack turns his attention elsewhere while he sautés atop him and releasing the gun. Bonnie begins to walk and points to surprisingly. Men continue to fighting till they imitate Jack. Jack poignard of Zimit master the ear, with a stylus doing it to sow and plow. Zimit goes to the door and enters the code, removing their tombstone and killing their losses. The class had already failed at exercise, and James fell into a pitfall. James was heading straight towards the office when grabbed the box with the hand of Zim, opened it, and found the truth. The box has hidden drawers and a lock. Their cards had been altered, and they were always condemned to be the James, a homosexual nurse, demanded that why does imitating hate so much? And imitate him, telling a story. The tale of a man who lived in a tunnel leading to a wall without any visibility. Just a few voices and some shadows were audible. Echoes thought it was so ridiculous. Until the day he was released and saw the real events that caused them shadows and echoes. It became clear that his people often say that the world is a joke. James should be let loose on his own accord. Grumbles about his own actions, son. A breach of confidentiality that caused him to the harsh reality. But James hasn't believed it. Zimit may have rendered him meaningless, like a florist, so that he can being quickly ejected. But a stopper gay indicated that Jimmy wanted it to suffer slowly. They attempted once more, but this time failed. James and Floriste envision a paradise island or the end of the world, yet another distant threat. Zimmy moves toward bunker to take an arm like he did. It always hears a noise, but it emerges, along with the feathers and Petra himself. Making a clown face, she admits she knows. If he has traveled far and wide, then she demanded information on the decide who will go to the bunker beforehand. They agree with her strategy, no matter what it is. Petra makes a decision and explains it. Why are there only 2 spaces? Petra chose James Zimit as her last choice. Tiran, who is in charge of the classroom. 1-0 was added. From a steel point to Petra, is rebellious in spirit. Yet she still has a strategy and a covert weapon that James the Belfry, the rebel who did survive a gunshot, may be heard in the bunker. It reveals its face on Zimithi's head. Genuine identity. And that is real. Sympathy for Petra Zimmy, these attempt to marching through life, pretending to be the only one who knows the release code. But Bonnie, the wise and dependable friend, the memory during their final course. Zimith has no other option but to Petra wants to give the final word before leaving. Position to Bonnie, but she declines after years. She has a family to look out for. anyone who has altered their preferences in this version of the exercise requested by Petra. They invite her, but she declines, she says. She'll board the boat and attempt to finding a safe location beyond the zone of radiation, but chips are the keys, off the boat, and quickly move Petra to inside the bunker. Such a sacrifice was made for as the other courses are heading, the boat leaving Lille. Petra departs recalling happy memories from their past playing cards after entering the bunker drink wine, perform Shakespeare, and write James expresses his love for his poems. Petra, although she is hesitant to respond to that, believe the world has come to an end, yet he discover a new beginning in Russell's basement apartment and Utami. They convert broken machinery into music instruments, a harp that sings with the wind as they launch their melodramatic and dreamy night, erasing the past. Horrors emerge when a year has passed. They realize the truth, there is none, only a test before the apocalypse. Their professor abused them in class, giving the impression that they are the last survivors of a nuclear war. I wanted to see how he would react. What methods they use their intellect and their skills for rebuilding civilization. But Petra, besides others, having a different perspective. They've discovered contentment and peace on the Lyle, and they are prepared to engage the death if she arrives and he refuses to let go. Mimic leaving their paradise so that he himself hold their heads. They have a handgun, but they having bravery. They rely on the button to set everything off. And Lille explosion with flames. However, this is not at the end of the story. There is another version told by Chips, the blackguard du gang, claiming to have escaped capture. Explosion involving 6 women on one train boat, and that he lives his ultimate fantasy. It states that Nelson and Andy are caving, dead in several accidents, leaving as the only remaining man, he implying that anything is possible. Despite the risks, he still wants the girl he wants. Even though it's a comedy, it's really amazing. However, a tragedy is what really happened. Is Mimi's fate, as it has survived in a cave seeking food and resources? He completely lost his student son in the water. Experiencing him, yet being alone in the school, was haunted by its mementos, and its regrettably, I can envision several scenarios. For himself, some generic others. Occasionally, he eats a sandwich. Sometimes he attempts suicide and is found in a hopeless and frightened ball. The movie After the Dark explores various moral and philosophical themes. But one of the key morals that can be derived from the film is the examination of ethical decision-making in extreme situations and the complex nature of human morality. It raises questions about the value of human life, the choices we make when faced with limited resources, and the moral dilemmas that can arise when we are forced to prioritize certain individuals or groups over others for survival. In essence, the movie challenges viewers to contemplate the depth of their own moral convictions and how they might respond when confronted with difficult choices. It serves as a reminder that ethical decision-making is not always black and white, and our values and principles may be tested in unexpected ways when placed in extreme circumstances. Ultimately, After the Dark encourages you to reflect on the complexities of human morality and the importance of empathy and compassion in our decision-making processes. Thank you so much to all my wonderful subscribers and viewers for taking the time to watch this movie summary of After the Dark. I hope you enjoyed the overview of this intriguing and philosophical film. Your support means the world to me, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. If you have any requests for more movie summaries, reviews, or any other content you'd like to see on my channel, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Your feedback and suggestions help me create content that you'll love. Once again, thank you for being a part of my YouTube community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. I look forward to bringing you more exciting content in the future. Stay tuned and stay curious.